All right. It says that we are on the air. And let me just crack my neck a little bit. Wait for at least one viewer to show up before I actually. Fucking hell! I forgot to. I always will forget to close the window. Oh, looks like we have some people watching already. Even though it doesn't say so. Okay. Oh no, there it finally says so. I get self-conscious talking to myself at the beginning of streams. So, welcome to Prince of Queens random Monday night live stream. I have been talking to this person, sad trans puppy, who is a trans guy who goes to school at some university that I will not name because I think that that is the conditions that we have agreed upon for this stream. And we are going to talk about what sequence of events led to his can't saying a lot. There was supposed to be a production of the Rocky Horror Picture Show, and it has now been canceled due to reasons that I have not completely heard yet, but I've heard are pretty obnoxious. So that's what we're going to talk
Yeah.
about. So that's what we're going to talk about. But
Yeah.
but before we do that, I just want to give a little bit of a personal anecdote about my history with the Rocky Horror Picture Show because I actually have one.
Hmm.
It's actually quite funny. I grew up in Seattle, as my subscribers know. Seattle is kind of one of the worst SJW cities in existence now. I mean,
Oof.
Seattle's where Zarna Joshi's from. Let's face it. So
You poor thing.
yeah, but in the 90s, when you know it was still like people who were of marginalized identities, especially of the LGBTQ population, were actually still legitimately very marginalized in the 90s. There was a lot of strides made in the 90s, but there wasn't HIV, like effective HIV treatment. So like homophobia was extremely rampant,
Right.
and trans people were almost non-heard of, like non-existent. And if you did, it was like one of those things where if you did meet a trans person, like it was really awkward because you didn't know how to act. And I felt looking even not even like looking back on it, like I remember meeting a few trans people in the 90s, and then like the next day I would be like, God, I really wasn't very nice to them, and it was only because I didn't know how to be, because I was not comfortable at all being around them.
Right.
um so when okay, so apparently my mom was saying I was gay starting when I was 3, according to like my eldest sister, which I kind of believe her. My mom says that that's not true, but she does admit that there was this one time where I got in trouble. Well, I don't even know if I got in trouble, but the teacher called my mom and said that I was kissing the boys in like preschool or whatever, and I don't even remember it. Like I don't I and my mom said that she didn't care, but anyhow, blah blah blah. Fast forward to when I'm about 12, I'm starting to realize that I'm gay. But I didn't really want to like tell anybody, but my sisters knew, and it was the 90s. I was 12, so this was must have been like 1994, which is
Mm.
that's right around, the peak of like 90s gay culture being cool, like Madonna being popular and that kind of thing. So my sisters decided to take me to the Rocky Horror Picture Show. And they also decided to dress me up in drag.
Oh, wow.
And I was like 12. So they but I didn't want to wear a wig, and I don't think that we had a wig. And I don't think I wanted to wear a skirt. My sisters were, I don't remember how we worked this out, but we made a little outfit for me where I had short hair, and then they just put little earrings on me, and I kind of probably looked like a slightly femme, but not particularly femme lesbian.
Mm.
And I don't think that people realized that I wasn't actually like a 20-year-old lesbian. Like I because I was like a 12-year-old boy. Um and they made me fake an orgasm. Okay, so I don't know if you ever went did you ever go to the
Yeah.
yeah,
I've been to the live show so many times.
yeah, and it's a really fun thing to do. If anybody in the audience who's never been, they still show the Rocky Horror Picture Show at midnight on like Saturdays at certain theaters, and it's a fun thing to do because it's a really wacky movie if you've never seen it before, and it's not the kind of movie that you really want to just like watch on at home because
Mm.
it's sort of boring actually, but it's also really amazing, and there's so many weird things about it. And you can go to a movie theater and then there's people acting it out live usually. And there's lines that have been developed throughout the years that people kind of
Hmm.
yell at the screen, which makes it way more entertaining. So it's really good to go see it at a movie theater. And then at the beginning, they have a little showcase with all the people who've never been before, and they write V on their forehead for virgin with red lipstick, and then they make them humiliate themselves in various ways, and they make them, and I had to fake an orgasm, and I totally did girl orgasm style because
Oh,
so yeah, that's my story with the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
that's brilliant.
Yeah, so Sad Puppy, what do you have to say about yourself?
Um, you mean with in relation to Rocky Horror or in general or
Well, just in general, tell us about who you are, like what kind of person, like what your friend group is like, so that we have a general idea of, describe your university where you are wanting to organize the production, and just so we have a general gist of the setting of this story that you're going to be telling.
well, my friend group is made entirely of SJWs, so that's why I'm currently in my car, hiding away from the world, hoping and praying to a God I don't believe in that none of my friends find this. Um, uh, let's see. I first became a shitlord in like 2012, 2013, because before then, I fell into Tumblr right around the time I began getting SJWE. And I was like, and on the surface, that's the problem with a lot of this stuff is that on the surface it makes sense, and then when you dig deeper into it, you're like, oh wait, this is bullshit. But
um,
I never dug deeper into it, and so I started finding things like Sargon of Akkad,
mm.
Thunderfoot, Amazing Atheist, and I was like, oh my god, everything I've been taught is or discovered on Tumblr is a lie.
Did you have a feeling like, I always feel that SJWism, it's sort of like maybe like Marxism or communism. It sounds good on paper, and but then after you try to like live under those rules, you're just deeply, deeply miserable, and you never laugh. And then
Yeah.
all of a sudden, you come across Sargon and Amazing Atheist, and you start laughing again.
Yeah, no, that is true. I mean, like I've always had a bit of a struggle with mental health, like anxiety and depression and things like that, but I have never been more depressed than when I was an SJW. Like, yeah, it's like, and I was remember I, um, it's actually kind of funny because I remember telling someone I knew the other day where I'm like, oh yeah, people focus so much on like the on like identities, like being an atheist, being trans, being gay, whatever, and I'm like, I'm just trying to work on my character. I'm just trying to be a good person. The
Mhm,
identities that I have are second to that, and if I happen to fall under these labels, but I'm not going to make that all I am. And
mhm.
so, but yeah, no, it's and I remember this very, very clearly. I will never forget this. At the time I was dating someone who wasn't white, and I am white, and we had gotten back from like a why white people need to pay reparations or some bullshit like that.
Oh God.
Yeah, yeah, no. And it was bad. And I had thought, and like I remember for a little while kind of questioning the things that I was being, because I'm pretty sure you know this, but for those of you who don't, a lot of a lot of LGBT people are very, very SJW-ish, and those were the people I was surrounded by. It was like an echo chamber.
Yeah.
And yeah, and and I was crying. Like I was like, I'm a horrible person. You're like, I gotta do all this shit. And my boyfriend at the time is like, no, you don't.
Oh,
There,
that's
there,
good.
yeah, no, he was so cool about all of it. He was like, he was like challenging my SJW-ness for a long time in a way I didn't even notice.
Oh my God, that's
Like
awesome.
planting seeds of like,
Yeah. Like
You
he was
sure that
probably
makes
like he
sense?
probably hopped on someone's live stream and was like, "I'm dating an SJW."
Poor guy. Looking back on our relationship, I'm like, I was not an easy person during that time. I am so sorry. But um but yeah, no, it's and he was just like, you don't have to do any of this. Like, don't listen to them. You're not a bad person because you're white. And he was like, yeah, some racism still exists and that sucks. And, we should be not for that. We should be against racism. But you're not responsible for what other people do. The best thing you can do is not be racist yourself. And I was just like, oh my God, I feel about a trillion times better. And then that's when I started really peeling apart and shedding all the bullshit I've been told for so
Huh.
long.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
Hmm.
I feel like I've come across people who are racial minorities. So, okay, I had a boyfriend for 2 years who was Cuban, and he was actually a Cuban immigrant that
Oh.
was like a refugee and he left when I think he was like 9 or something,
Hmm.
and remembers it pretty clearly. He was like, yeah, I'll do his accent. He's like, yeah, it was weird. Like, like I was like all of a sudden, like one day these people are my neighbors, and then the next day I'm on the boat and they're throwing rocks at us, and it's like, what the
Oh
hell?
wow.
Yeah, so he was like, you know, kind of had a pretty intense life experience, but he was
Hmm.
not an SJW at all. He was a total shit lord, like total shit lord to a ridiculous degree. Like he had never ever gotten into any sort of SJW victim complex anything at all.
Oh.
And so I never had an experience of actually full on dating someone who was an SJW, and like when we dated, I wasn't. Like this was before I probably dated him maybe like 2008 or so.
Hmm.
Um that we did it off and on for 2 years. But
Hmm.
I've heard stories of um people where there's like a racial minority dating a white person, and they're both SJWs, and the white person is, flogging themselves every day, like apologizing for being white and trying and doing everything they can, and like wanting to go to undoing whiteness trainings and blah 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 blah, and they have their partner is basically being abusive and continuing to still view themselves as the victim within the relationship and continue to take it out on the white partner. So it's really cool that you didn't have that.
Yeah, no, he was amazing. I will never forget him. He did me such a service in opening my eyes and being like, you need to stop.
Hmm.
You cannot hate yourself for this, because like my mental health was even more if it was bad before, it was like plummeting.
Mm.
So yeah, no, I wouldn't call him an anti-feminist or a MRA or anything like that, but he was definitely very much like anti-feminazi.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go as far as to call him an anti-SJW, but he certainly didn't like them.
Yeah.
He tolerated them and then made fun of them behind their backs, basically.
I just think that people need to know how many people like him are really around. Like most people at universities, I would say probably 75% of people at universities are people like him. And
Yeah.
where it's like, yeah, they're fine with it. They don't have a problem with it, but they know when it's annoying. And then there's like, the 5% of people who are like actively have a reason to be against SJWs, and then the like 20% of people are maybe SJWs. Or like, and then out of those 20%, only a quarter of them are the really bad ones. The other ones are just the enablers that kind of, like go along with all the bullshit. So I just want more people to start like realizing that once you open up about this stuff, then other people are like, oh, you see it too, and
Yeah.
come out wherever you are, and we can all join forces. So, but at the same time,
Finally win the culture war.
yeah, yeah. I mean,
About damn time.
because they've shown themselves for what they truly are. They've shown they are every bit as awful as any awfulness that's ever existed. There is, at this point with all the violence that's going on, the
Oh my
riots and
god.
there's no denying that they're just they're the girl who got pepper sprayed at fucking Berkeley, she is she was wearing like they thought she was wearing a Make America Great Again hat, but it was a Make Bitcoin Great Again hat.
No, I remember that. I watched your video on it.
So yeah,
Yeah, no. I do think though it's important to remember there's a difference between people who just might hold SJW-ish ideas but are decent people, and then people who are like ballistically militaristic will actually go out and pepper spray strangers.
yeah, yeah. No, there definitely is. There's a varying degree of those people. It's really hard to say. So, anything else that you want to say about yourself before we get into talking about what inspired this live stream?
Well, it was actually really funny. I first heard about Rocky Horror Picture Show from my father. He used to be one of those people that sweeps up after you watch a movie. And he would always do Rocky Horror Night, and so he would tell me from like when I was 10 and older, he'd be like, you have to go to a live showing a Rocky Horror Picture Show. You just have to do it. And in fact, at some point when I went to college, he took me with his girlfriend and his girlfriend's son, and we all went to go see Rocky Horror Picture Show, and it was great. A little awkward watching that with your dad. That was awkward.
How old was your his girlfriend's son?
His girlfriend's son was a little older than me, not by much,
Oh,
like
okay.
just a
So
few years.
it was an appropriate age.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
no, yeah, no. It was he's not going to take a 12-year-old to go see Rocky Horror or anything like that.
Yeah, it's not my family. So
Mm.
um so okay, that's cool. So you decided, are you a theater student?
Um, I mean, like, kind of. I'm more so like community theater, like I do theater for fun, not for seriousness. Like, I'm not looking to like be on Broadway at any point, but
Mm.
I'm not very good at it either. I do like it.
Yeah, I suck at acting actually. I for whatever reason, I guess I'm fairly good at voice acting at this point because I have fun with my voice acting on my channel, but yeah, I'm not I was always yeah, I'm not blah blah blah. People on my channel know that I do theater. So cool. So you decided to organize.
Well, it wasn't okay. I'm sorry. Did I interrupt?
No.
Okay, so what ended up happening, it was actually the Pride Student Union was going to organize a Rocky Horror Picture Show for Pride Awareness Month. And I was so excited because I've seen a couple live shows, and I've been into this since I was like 17 years old, you know. So I'm like, and I've always wanted to be in it. I didn't care who I played. I didn't care if I was a girl, boy, background character, callback. I just wanted to be in it. And so
And that's the fun of the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
yeah, no, it's you are always having fun no matter what.
Yeah.
And then I hear, I am in a transgender group, like Facebook group, at my school, and I hear that there's the potential it might be canceled,
Oh,
but there,
hey, I have something to bring up before we get to the cancel
yeah.
part. We
Mhm.
should tell, if in case anybody's unfamiliar with the movie, let's describe all of the characters a little bit.
Oh
So,
god.
like, who's your favorite character in the Rocky Horror Picture Show?
Oh god. Queen Frankenfurter, obviously.
Yeah, Dr. Frankenfurter, who's played by Tim Carey,
Cur-
Curry,
Tim, yes.
John Carey, John Curry.
Yes.
No, yeah, so
God.
Tim Curry. And one of the many faces of amazingness from Tim Curry because he's like one of the most versatile actors. Um, ever, and he's this crazy drag queen transvestite person who owns a gigantic like weird mansion that's like kind of haunted or something.
Mm. Yeah, no, I don't. It's like they're aliens from transsexual Transylvania,
Yeah, it doesn't really
and
make any sense.
and then like there's like this poor engaged couple is just like, I want to use your phone because our car broke down, and Dr. Fingerford is like, nah, brah, we want to have sex party instead.
And yeah, and one of them's Susan Sarandon.
Yeah,
And this is before she was famous. I think this is like one of her first roles.
she's good. Like
Yeah.
she was good. And then there's like this incestuous like maid and handyman, and then
Yeah, Riff Raff and Magenta, who are both pretty awesome
yes.
characters. The handyman kind of looks like Nosferatu with hair.
Oh my god.
Sorta. He has a big hunchback and he's really creepy. And then the maid is really awesome. She seems like a fucking lesbian. She seems like she would be in some girl band in the '90s or something.
I don't give a damn about my reputation. Well, that's not really girl band in the '90s, but you get my point.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then I always really liked Magenta, who's this like
Mm.
she's this like girly girl who tap dances and shit.
That's Columbia.
Oh, Columbia. Yeah, sorry. Columbia's the maid. Columbia, Magenta's the maid. Columbia's the
Yes.
tap dancing weirdo.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so like any and all of those characters are fun. Like if you're a gay guy, you any of the girl characters are fun to be, and if you're female or trans there's always good. You know, you can insert yourself into any of those weird characters. Okay, so let's go back to your story with the Pride Zone.
Okay. And so, there was talk of it possibly being canceled, but they were like, all right, what if we compromise? What if like, like we have trigger warnings and we have like discussions about problematic features of, Rocky Horror Picture Show or whatever, and how it has impacted the LGBT community, and how, like that kind of thing. And I personally kind of thought that stuff was stupid, but I was like, but you know what, if that's what it takes, that's what it takes. I will, no complaining, I
So
will
you were
jump in.
you appeased the SJWs at first.
Well, I didn't. They like I was just gonna audition. This was the panel of people who are actually putting it on.
No, but I mean, like you started hearing about offending people, blah blah blah, and
Yeah.
you were like, okay, that's cool. I will take your concerns to heart,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. I was willing to do anything to
Hmm.
be to be a character, or even just one of those people screaming callbacks. I would have done anything.
Hmm.
Um and then like I see in the transgender group, people still complaining, and they're just like, oh, well, it's transphobic, it's problematic. And I started commenting because I never comment in that group.
Hmm.
And I started commenting, and I was like, hey guys, like, I understand why you may not like it, and you have every right to not like it. But I do like it. And if I respect your right to not like it for whatever reason you might find, but like, I want to see it. I love this show, and I think it'll be a lot of fun to put on. And like, and people just started being so vitriolic, and they were just like, and vitriolic in the original term, not the new term, the
Yeah.
actual term.
Yeah.
And they were just like, oh, well, it's problematic and it hurts us as a community. And I'm like, how does it hurt you as a community? And they're like, well, look at Tumblr. And I'm like, no, no. And it literally was like,
They're
I
trying
want,
they're trying to suck you back into the amoeba. They realize that you got free from the blob, and they're like a big like blobby tentacle came out to try to pull you back in.
it's fucking seriously, it's like I broke away from the cult, but I kind of haven't, because I'm still in college. But college is a cesspool of SJWs. It's a mess.
Mm.
But yeah, and so I was like, that doesn't count. And I'm like, I want journals, I want evidence, I want statistics of how this has actually contributed to hate crimes or suicide rates or whatever. And then I
Mm.
got told that I was upsetting people and that I needed to stop commenting. And also that I was a trans misogynist.
Oh
And
God.
I don't even know what that means. Like, does that mean
I
that I hate trans women? Like, no one ever clarified that for me.
Yeah, no,
And
that it's just a virtue signaling buzzword as far as I'm concerned. Like it's like you can't just say transphobic because that doesn't prove that you're a feminist enough, so you have to say trans misogynist. Um I don't know. Maybe. Oh, wait. Maybe it has to do with the fact that, I mean, like, let's face it. A lot of these people complaining have probably never even seen the whole movie, so
yeah.
all they really know is they've seen pictures of Tim Curry and being all crazy, and they think it's embarrassing and it's an embarrassing stereotypical portrayal of trans women, so they think it's trans misogynist. That's probably what
I
it
mean, like,
is.
and I mean, like, yeah, it's kind of the portrayal of trans women the way that Jersey Shore is a portrayal of Italians. You know,
Yeah.
it's it's like most people, like maybe one person out of a million walk away thinking that's what trans women are actually like. You know,
Well, yeah,
most
but also but he's also amazing. Like he's glorious. Like when you actually watch the whole movie, you're like Tim Curry is amazing and I kind of want to like every straight guy kind of wants to dress up like that once when they see that.
yes, yes, no, it's he is a beautiful man, absolutely beautiful. And you know, and there were a few people, I think there was like one or two that were like, you know, hey, listen, I don't like Rocky Horror Picture Show either, but you know, first of all, stop being so vitriolic to this person, they don't deserve it.
Mm,
And two, you know, and two, they do have freedom of expression and we should allow them to put it on.
mhm,
So, but they ended up getting shouted down too. And then I got banned from the group like temporarily. I
mm,
don't know what happened. I tried to find it and then and then it's just coming off Facebook. And then a few minutes later, I found it again and I was like, what?
mm.
So, and then I was so pissed when they finally said, we're like, yeah, no, we're just not doing this. And they specifically said the transgender community complained too much.
God. He's like, can't we just have the names? Can't we just have the individuals that
Fucking seriously.
because I feel like every university has like that little crew, and it's only like three or four people at most, but usually just one or two, and like, and out of of that one or two, it's usually just the one. There's that one person at my school. What was that girl's name? She was so horrible. Okay, so granted, I went to college in 2000 through 2004,
Hmm.
so we didn't have really there was one student who's I think came out as trans by the end of it, and my college itself was only like 1,000 kids. It was a small division of a bigger university, but there was this one girl who was this lesbian activist, and she was so fucking annoying. Like she lived in my dorm freshman year, and like we were watching Dragon Ball Z. I don't know if you ever did you
Ooh.
watch.
I had never watched it, but a friend of mine is forcing me to watch DBZ,
Oh,
DBZ abridged.
it's really good. Yeah, watch it. The best season is the season with Cell in it, and Cell is this alien thing that has a tail, and like I remember, like we were really into it. Like me and this guy, that was also a stoner. He and I were really into it, and so we would go into the lounge, and when it would come on, because it was coming on Cartoon Network, live, like every day would be the new episode, and because it's many episodes in Japan. So we would come in every day and force people to change the channel because we were so into it. It was like our thing.
That's
And
great.
and the episode with Cell, like so the girl she must have been in there and we like convinced her to watch the show, but she didn't leave. Which we would have been perfectly happy if she just left. And she was like freaking out about how Cell had a tail and was trying to stab the other characters and it was phallic, and she kept saying phallic, and oh my god, this cartoon with this phallic, and it's like it's a fucking anime, and he's like a alien thing that has a stabby pointer on his tail, and he's like shut the and
Oh my God.
she would be in there would be all school assemblies for various reasons, and like because her little activist group would be causing problems all the time and like trying to like fuck with the just because they were trying to fight the system, like they'd come up with some reason to be mad at the administration or something. And she would like yell during the like somebody like the dean would be talking and be like, yeah, we had some students complained about blah blah blah, and he would say something and she'd be like, that's not the issue. And so it was always like anytime you ever heard like that students had complained about something, we all just assumed it was her, basically.
Oh God.
We were like, let me guess. And we were mostly right, I think. So anyhow, so back to your story. People they ended up canceling the thing.
Yeah. And I was going to put on my own, but we didn't end up having enough people to audition, so I was just kind of like, well, this sucks.
When did that all go down?
January?
January. So were they preparing that for like Pride in spring?
Yes. Yes. Literally they were preparing this for months in advance.
Oh, wow. But so,
So all this hard work gone to waste.
huh.
And it's like, if you do dislike Rocky Horror Picture Show, I respect that. Okay, I don't, but I will respect your right to be wrong, you know. And if you want to protest, I will respect that as long as it's peacefully. I feel the need to say that now that there are a bunch of freaking crazies running around
Yeah.
destroying prop.
We've
Oh
we've
my
shifted the definition of protest.
base fucking god damn it. But it's like, I respect your right to protest peacefully.
Mhm.
And it's and like if you want to go out there, like standing outside Rocky Horror Picture Show with like, oh, trans misogynist, transphobic, and make yourselves look like a bunch of fucking idiots, I respect your right to do that. I will not try to stop you. I will laugh at you, but I'll not try to stop you.
Mhm.
But it's like, come on, like these people are working so, and it's not like it was something like, it's not like it was something like, oh, this theater group just came into campus and was like, "Lol, we're just gonna do a Rocky Horror Picture Show." It's like it was fucking Pride. It was the people you would think could get away with it, and even they couldn't get away with it.
Well, maybe almost especially because it was Pride. Because people are so protective about like what Pride gets to be now.
I noticed there's a lot of virtue signaling in Pride now when it comes to transgender people. It's like, and I understand why, because it's like, transgender people have often kind of felt, I mean, I hate to use the word marginalized because that word's been so bastardized,
Yeah,
and,
but
and like, but it's marginalized, kind of like pushed to the side, not really acknowledged. So now it's just like they're like, oh yeah, no, we acknowledge you, we love you, and it's like it's nice. It's nice to be kind of mainstreamed in the LGBT community, but now it's gone a little crazy where it's like I feel like a lot of trans people now, whether unconsciously or consciously, taking advantage of that, where they're just like, it's like it's they've basically silenced any and all opposition, which is called by I was called a rape supporter.
wait, from this whole fiasco,
Yes, I was literally
how they
like,
get
okay,
there?
because for those of you who don't know, in Rocky Horror Picture Show, there
Oh,
is,
there is that. Okay, yeah.
yeah, I mean, like, well,
No,
there's a couple,
explain to the audience.
yeah. So there's a couple scenes with like questionable consent where it's like, Dr. Frankenfurter creates a living sex doll who is very handsome. But and like takes the living sex doll named Rocky, takes Rocky to the bed, and we don't see anything. But later on, we see Rocky sleeping, and he's kind of like chained up by his ankle. So it's one of those like questionable consent kind of things. So it's like you can make the argument either way.
Well, at least they were supporting the notion that men can be
Yeah,
raped, I guess.
yeah.
Sort
If
of.
if
I don't know.
sort
I'm
of.
just Um, whatever. No, I'm not defending these people. But there's also
Yeah.
I'm thinking about the scenes where Dr. Frankenfurter, which is Tim Curry,
Yeah.
dresses up as the honeymooners or whatever.
Yeah.
And he gets into bed with each of them, but the thing is
Hmm.
they each like it, and they're like, oh, you're really good tonight, and then it turns out that it's Dr. Frankenfurter dressed up, and he goes he's just tricking them, and he's like, ha ha ha, I'm better at sex than your partner, basically.
Yeah, because he dressed up as their partners, and then they were just like, "What? I accidentally what? You know, like I never would have done this if I had known that it was actually my partner."
Hmm.
So, and that's like one of those things where it's like it's very question. I know that they end up like halfway through, they're like, "Oh wait, you tricked me," and then they're just like, "Ah, well, fuck it, we'll do it anyway."
Hmm.
So, so it's like one of those like questionable consent kind of things.
Yeah, but it's fucking,
It's
I don't know, the people who complain about this stuff, it's like, have you ever even had sex? Like, I
yeah, yeah, you know, like there's a very big difference between rape
yeah.
and you know like and you know, I've often heard that if you have to question if it's rape, it's probably I'm not every single time, but like if you had to question is rape, it's probably not rape.
Yeah, if you have to question 3 months later whether it's rape, like you probably wasn't. I Yeah. So wait, I was gonna say something about you mentioned before with the transgender kind of how everybody's so incredibly sensitive. This is one of the
Mm,
things that I talk about, every a lot of people talk about, but we're right at sort of the eye, not the eye of the storm. I would say the eye of the storm was the period in which people thought that maybe somehow Hillary Clinton would still be the president even though Donald Trump had won. Like that would be the eye of the storm when
God.
like the Jill Stein recount shit. Like it
Oh
was
my God.
everything was reasonably calm then. Everyone's like, well, no, this can't really happen. We'll be cool. Jill Stein's having a recount. It'll be
I'm
fine.
I'm not
Um,
even a Trump supporter and I was cringing.
yeah, I actually technically voted for Jill Stein.
Really?
Yeah, the only reason why, and I deeply regret it now. But I because of the state that I lived in was so incredibly Bernie Sanders. Okay, I had heard conflicting things about how it would be possible for the Libertarians and the Green Party to at least debate in the next debates. And what I wanted was more people on the debate stage. That was my end goal. And I thought because of the fact that my state was like over 72% in favor of Bernie Sanders in the primaries, I thought that people in my state would vote for Jill Stein. And I had heard that if 3 states get 5% or more of the vote population, then the people will get to debate again. But I guess that wasn't even true. I guess it had to be like a national thing. And so I should have voted for Gary Johnson so that the libertarians could debate. So, because I didn't like Jill Stein by the time I voted for her. Like I thought
Mm.
she was like a science denying fucking
She
weirdo.
kind of was.
Yeah.
She
Like
kind of
her yeah,
was.
her views on nuclear energy are just like completely archaic and not even like she thinks that like she thinks that somebody will drop a bomb on a nuclear power plant and it will be like the new Chernobyl, and that's like just not true. That's not how things work. Um, you can't blow up a whole fucking nuclear power plant like that. But okay,
Mm.
anyhow, that would have been like the eye of the storm. That period. And now the shit is like hitting the fan, and the wacky SJWs are not going to go down without a fight, and they're going to double down and just get louder and louder until. But okay, so here's the thing.
Mhm.
Um, I like to. So I read somewhere. I did not come up with this concept. I read it in the Atlantic, over a year ago. This was in response to that poor Yale professor, that woman who they protested because she wrote that she wasn't sure she wanted to be authoritarian in.
Oh yeah. Oh
Yeah,
oh my God.
that was talk.
Oh my God. No, I was gonna say, like, I was just watching that video and I was thinking to myself, if I had ever talked to anyone the way that that girl did to that person, my mother, I don't even want to finish that sentence. Just my mother. Ending sentence.
Yeah, I actually, my mother is, actually both my parents are teachers, and my mother was even on a school board, and so when that all started happening, like that was like I think maybe the first big SJW blowout that happened at a university. The SJWs have been around for a long time, but this was 2015 was the year. I think that might have even happened at the end of 2014. I can't remember. No, I think it happened at the end of 2015, right before Halloween. And 2015 was the year that the SJWs thought that they were winning and that they were going to take over the world. Like so many bad things happened in SJWs in terms of the SJW stuff, and they kept getting away with it in 2015, and that's
Yeah.
why I think 2015 was the worst year, even though people think 2016 was worse. But 2016 was just when people started fighting back, and so it got bigger. Um but like that whole shit happened, and there was an article about that, and it was one of the things that they said, which I'll try to paraphrase, but they said that if there is any, the biggest white privilege of all is the privilege to have you to when you enter a discussion about oppression, to have your ideas challenged, because there's never going to be a professor that tells you that you have some intrinsic knowledge based on your lived experience as a white person. That's not a politically correct thing to say. However, there's all sorts of professors that will tell people that, oh, you don't. We should listen to the one black kid in the class because they have lived experiences as a racial minority. And I think I bring it up in my videos a lot, this idea of listening to lived experiences, which, has some validity to it. It's like I definitely have a lot to say about being a gay guy, especially, one that actually lived in New York City, San Francisco, and Seattle. I have a lot to say about being a gay guy. But at the same time, there's a lot of things I don't know about being a gay guy, and there's a lot of things about, race theory and being transgender that somebody wouldn't know just by being black or by being trans. And we've been allowing people to cut corners intellectually and to feel like they know a bunch of stuff when they might not know anything. Like they might not know shit. Like a trans person can have full-blown gender dysphoria, but all they know is their own story and not know anything about hormones, about, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's gotten to this really weird point where, that's the whole transgender phenomenon came from, is all these people wanting that privilege of, never being questioned, and people, basically fanning them and feeding them grapes and acting like they're like super special and super smart and super knowledgeable, when it's sort of the exact opposite. It ends up becoming like they're the people that suffer the most, because everybody else is meanwhile like having to learn about how to cater to them and learn every little bit of knowledge about all of these subjects. And we've gotten to the point where everyone's tired of that, and
Yeah.
those people are going to be the ones to suffer the most, because there's, like I come across black women. Okay, I will definitely single black women out, because black women have been the worst in this particular way. There's more bad white female SJWs, like they're more common, but I come across so many black women online who basically tell me in so many words that they know everything about everything because they're a black woman, so they I need to shut up. And they will just, and that's their only point. Like, I'm a black woman, I know everything. I'm a black woman, I know everything. And that is not going to get them very far in a year.
No.
It's not going to get you very far in life. So yeah, I feel really bad for these people, and I feel really bad for the spaces that they're destroying, because they're making them into barren, into intellectual wastelands.
Well, it's like I remember, when Caitlyn Jenner first came out and she had a Halloween costume. a few old friends of mine came to me like with bated breath, like almost waiting for me to start screaming. And they're just like, what do you think of the Caitlyn Jenner costume? And I just kind of looked at them and I'm like, I want equality. Caitlyn Jenner is a public figure.
Mm,
Every public figure gets a Halloween costume. Why should she be any different?
mm-hmm.
And like the looks on their faces were just like, oh, okay, okay. No explosion here, folks. you know, but it's like, yeah, I definitely see what you're saying. It's you can't have equality and also be a protected class. It's like
Yeah.
it's like I want to be treated like everyone else. I don't want people to look at me and be like, oh, the transgender person. I want people to look at me and be like, oh, sad trans, who's also transgender. It's like I want to be a person first and
Yeah.
identity second. And I feel like a lot of the problem is that, and understandably so, for a little while, is because I first did this when I first started like coming into my identity. It's that your identity, it's new, it's really weird. It's like that's so that kind of takes up your head for a long time because you're trying to explore this part of yourself. You're just like, I don't, and you're telling people and you're excited about it. And then like after a while you're like, okay, like it's all good. But then I feel like what has ended up happening is that like a lot of people in the LGBT community, we've been saying we have been acting as though our identity is like every part of who we are. It's
Mm-hmm.
like that's the most important part of us. And I guarantee you, like I'm sure you're like this, and I'm sure there are a lot of gay, lesbian, bisexual, trans, every part of the alphabet soup that just that they're just like, yeah, I am on the rainbow, but I also love dogs or cats. I
Mm-hmm.
like this show. I like that show. I have these skills. I work here. It's like I don't want to be known as my identity. I want to be known as my personhood. And my
Absolutely.
identity just kind of falls in there somewhere, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, I think honestly every generation I hate, people really need to keep in mind how significant the cultural uh collective unconscious of each generation really is, that like every 20 years or so there's a new batch of people coming out of the closet as gay or bi or trans. So the there's gonna be a bunch of people who come out of the closet, and there's gonna be music artists and movies for them that are all about I'm trans, I'm gay, that's the point of the art. And all these kids are like, cool, there's Lady Gaga and she talks, and then after a while people kind of get tired of it, and they're like, you know what, like that was cool when I was like 14 to see Lady Gaga, but like I actually like other kinds of music too. I don't need to only listen to pop divas just because I'm a gay guy and like all the other gay guys listen to pop divas. um
Yeah.
and so yeah, it's the same kind of thing. And I was really lucky because I was able to come out at 14, and a lot of people don't or can't,
Mm.
for various reasons. So it didn't take me very long to kind of get out of that phase, because when you come out that early, you know that there's more to you because you didn't have this like repressed thing. And it's like, okay, well, I also like video games and electronic music. Like, so.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying representation isn't important. It certainly is.
Mhm.
But it's like, do you have any idea how many times I've heard, "Oh, you would love Steven Universe. There's so many gay people in it." And I'm just like, I will slap you
uh,
if I if those words come out of your mouth again.
I have never even seen Steven Universe. I'm such a bad SJW commentator.
It's
Cause
I've never seen it either, but from what I've heard, it's good.
yeah, I've heard it's actually a good show. I've heard that the thing is about it is that it created an entire universe, that like sort of universe. It creates an entire, fictional universe that follows SJW type. Like it's the kind of thing that SJWs sort of wish that the world was like, but it's not preachy, is what I've
Yeah,
heard
it's very
about it.
subtle.
Yeah.
I
So,
think it's I think it's kind of one of those shows where it's like you can divorce the politics from the art.
Uh-huh. Yeah, kind of
If
like
you're not an SJW.
Orange is the New Black, maybe.
Well, actually, I have seen Orange is the New Black, and I went into it thinking it would be very SJW-ish, but it really isn't.
Well, no, I really like Orange is the New Black. I've seen all of it. And it there's I would say, okay, so I know for a fact that many SJWs are offended by Orange is the New Black, but they're offended
Why?
because they're offended by everything. I mean, they're offended by Steven Universe.
Fair.
They're offended by Steven Universe too. Yeah, like
No.
I would say like Orange is the New Black and Walking Dead are two of the most like non-racist shows that have ever existed. That have been on American television that have been popular. Like if you really look at the strength of the characters and the different genders and um you know there's so many strong women and so many strong racial minorities and that kind of thing on both Orange is the New Black and Walking Dead, and yet people don't care about the strength and they don't care about the complexity of characters. They care about the stereotypes, and they will always be upset about something because I mean that's the nature of the beast. So
Yeah. Yeah, it's like Orange is the New Black is I remember thinking to myself like this is amazing because it's kind of like under disguise as an SJW show. But then when you really look into it, it's like the whole fourth season where it's like the whole guard, accidentally killed Pussy. Oh, spoiler alert. Um
yeah.
you didn't hear that from me guys. Um and it's just like I think that was handled beautifully because it wasn't this whole guards are guards are bad, black women prisoners are good, like everyone was a victim in that circumstance. The guard was poorly trained and panicked, you
Yeah,
know
I agree. I
it's like
agree with that. I was actually talking about that on a stream somewhere or another. I don't know if it was on my
mm,
channel. And we were discussing like, is Orange is the New Black an SJW show? Because I mean, there was that, but there was also like the whole thing about I don't remember. I think they call her Black Cindy, and then her like Muslim bunkmate
mm,
who had the hijab on, but then they made friends because she could hide a phone in it.
yeah.
And like there's so many there like that whole subplot was super cringe to me, but then
Mm.
I liked the way that they handled the police officer Black Lives Matter part of it, because the young police officer was they were responsible about it. What one thing that pissed me off about that season was like they had all of okay, first off, I thought that they did a really, really socially irresponsible job of handling the veterans.
The
Remember how
better
they
right,
the new
yeah.
yeah, the new guards were veterans, and like they were all well, maybe one of or two of them was fine, but there was the one who was like a sadistic psycho, and he was like making the one girl like swallow baby mice or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they overall they were assholes, and the one guard like the big bear guy who's like all he was like super super evil like shit lord, and then it turns out he's gay, and then it was like, and I was like, oh, of course, like who's he, the like Milo Yiannopoulos of the show or something, like is that what they're trying? So
Oh, and the pretty blonde girl, of course, was the only veteran that was actually a decent human being, of course.
oh yeah, 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 yeah. I guess that. Yeah, I was trying to think if there was any other besides her, but it was just so funny because it was like they were such a stereotype of veterans. Like they go in and play Call of Duty every day. Like, oh come on, like
Yeah, it's no show's perfect.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
You
But
got to take the good with the bad.
I like Orange is the New Black overall. Like
Hmm.
I being that I am a script writer and that I was, I sound pretentious when I say it, but I was also the school I went to is has a very very high focus of media literacy and politics. Like you don't just go to the school to learn how to write a script. You go to the school to learn how to analyze the political messages of all media like really closely, and that's what my school is known for. So I can't watch drama, like scripted drama, without just taking apart piece by piece the the socio-political messages. Like none of it. Like
Right.
you would think that I could watch sci-fi and it like wouldn't be like that. No, every goddamn sci-fi show I ever watch, I'm doing the same goddamn thing. I'm like, oh, the Romulans are like the Russians. That's it. I like,
I get that. I get that feel.
yeah. So I'm thinking that we should end this in about 6 minutes because I think this is actually a really good stream in terms of people might actually watch it again. So what do you want to talk about for 6 minutes?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. You seen Gravity Falls?
No, I have not.
Oh, really?
I
What?
just started watching Nurse Jackie.
I don't understand.
Yeah, it just doesn't so far it's not like the best thing ever. It seems kind of like a do you ever watch House MD?
House MD? No. I
Uh,
should though.
yeah, it's really good. It is a really good show. It's House MD is one of the shitlord heroes of all television ever.
Oh,
He's
is that the one with the doctor that's really sarcastic and cynical 24/7?
yeah, yeah,
I see him on Undoomed all the time.
yep, yeah, that guy. Yeah, the morons, fucking morons guy. Um,
I love him.
yeah, he's great. Yeah, his character is basically that he is the best doctor on earth. Basically, he's a he does diagnostics. He figures out what is wrong with somebody. So anybody from all over the world. If something's wrong with them, they know that they can take them to this doctor and he will figure out what the fuck is wrong with them. But he doesn't actually like anybody at all in the world. Like he hates people. He just likes his job, and he also has he had a degenerative nerve thing happen to his leg, so his leg got all fucked up, and so he walks with a cane and he's addicted to painkillers, so he just has no filter and just says whatever the fuck he wants to say all the time because he's always high on painkillers, which is actually a fairly accurate representation of people with chronic pain. Like they're kind of like that. So yeah, he's a total dick, but he's really smart and he does good work. And so it's this thing where like everybody has to put up with him, even though because he saves lives. And
Right.
yeah, so it's amazing, and they're in it's an awesome show in the way that like he is a blatant misogynist. Like he's an actual total misogynist, and he is open about it. Like his boss is this woman. She's the head of the hospital, and she's pretty hot, and so he's always like he's like talking about trying to see down her shirt and stuff, and like blatantly and at the same time, though, there's a lot of strong female characters on the show who have to like put up with his shit and do a pretty good job of it. So it's the kind of show where like like you couldn't like you try to show an SJW it and they probably couldn't get through a single episode. They're hour-long episodes, but like if they did actually watch it, it would help them in life because it's like you occasionally do run into really brilliant men like this that are good people ultimately, that are valuable to society, but they don't care, they don't give a fuck about your feelings. So
Yeah. Well, I feel like that's just a good lesson, not just for SJWs, but for people in general. It's people, whether for worse or for better, people just in real life, people are not going to care about what you feel. You just have to get on with your day.
yeah,
And it's and the earlier you learn that, the better.
yeah, yeah, I agree. So funny, like when you go to the Rocky Horror Picture Show and it's supposed to be this big crazy thing, and then they put you in front of everybody and make you fake an orgasm.
Yeah. Or like cancel the goddamn Rocky Horror Picture Show. Fucking
Yeah, it's like, I mean, it's like it's a bonding ritual. It's like, of course it's ridiculous. Of course it's offensive to some people. That is the whole point of the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
And you know what? You don't have to go if you don't want to go.
Yeah.
If you find it too offensive, no one is forcing you at gunpoint to be like, you're gonna go to Rocky Horror Picture Show or else. It's like, just stay home.
What sucks about it is that in my day, it was that it would offend straight people. That was what
Motion
was
gate.
offensive about it. Yeah. Now it offends trans people or something. And it's like maybe these people are just like uptight assholes. Like maybe it's like, as Sargon always says, there will always be uptight moral busybodies.
Busybodies, yes. Moral
Yeah,
busybodies.
yeah. It's like, who are, like, I don't know. I don't know. I guess I grew up in a weird environment in my house, and so I never had the slightest drive to try to like police what other people do in terms of what type of shows they watch, or and like never even occurred to me. So,
You see, I grew up Catholic.
okay.
So so how much do you know about Catholicism?
Enough probably.
So do I have to do I have to say any more other than I grew
No,
up Catholic?
no, yeah, yeah, not,
That's like Catholic specialty. Just like, what are you thinking about? Whatever you're thinking about, you're probably gonna go to hell for it. You know?
yeah. Just so long as unless as long, but you got to tell the priest, and then everything's sort of cool or whatever.
Because reasons.
Yeah.
No, I used to be such a little shit when I was a kid. I'd be like, well, why does this not have add up? Why does that not add up? Why does this not add up? Why does that not add up? And then they'd be like, oh, because reasons, because faith. Like,
Don't you think that Catholicism evolved the way that it did, probably so that they could like blackmail everybody and everywhere it was with all their secrets that they confessed to the priest?
honestly, I wouldn't be too surprised.
Because that's a good strategy.
Seriously. Like, I can honestly tell you it has not happened to me yet. No one has blackmailed me yet. But I will keep you updated if that happens. I will be like, you were right all along.
Yeah. Okay, so we have just got past an hour. So wonderful to have everybody in the chat. I'm sorry that I did not post a single time, but I had a very good time talking to Sad Trans Puppy, and they might join us in the future
That'd be great.
on one of my streams. See, it wasn't that hard. Who the hell would try to dox you over this?
You, the same people that call me a rape supporter, and a trans misogynist. Okay,
Okay.
you have to like. I've told you why I'm scared of getting doxxed.
Yeah.
You would, and like especially now with the election of Donald Trump, but everyone running around breaking property and shit.
Yeah. Well, no, as I said, those are the people that are going to have to start worrying about their own self
Yeah,
pretty,
true.
pretty soon.
Like, I don't support doxing at all, but I did hear that one guy that beat that man with a shovel got doxed, and I was like, all right,
Mhm.
yeah, that's that you're breaking the law now. You
I
beat a man with a
ordered,
shovel.
I ordered myself a collapsible baton today because I
Oof.
live in SJW city, and
Yeah.
everyone's telling me I should buy a gun and shit. I'm like, I'm not gonna buy I'm not gonna be the next person that like maybe kills someone, but
Yeesh.
but I will carry around a little billy club in case I need to break someone's forearm, because no, I'm sorry, I'm not the one. Like, I'm not that guy. Um
Smart.
yeah.
Yeah, between that poor guy that got kidnapped in Chicago and now this going on, you're gonna need to defend yourself.
Yeah, yeah. And people know who I like. I mean, I've been outspoken enough on Facebook that people who actually know who I am know that I'm an anti-SJW. Okay, we're gonna end the broadcast now.
All right. Okay.
'Cause I gotta go to the bathroom. It's been great to talk to you.
You too. All right. Bye.